What would you do if you were witnessing a soul being crushed in front of your own gate, and the people responsible looked at you not with shame, but with the cold, dead eyes of those who believed they owned another human life? Would you turn away to keep your own peace? Or would you risk everything to pull that person out of the fire? The screen hits you with an immediate, jarring contrast. The soft, golden light of Jack's new farm, the peaceful sound of a broom sweeping the porch, and then a scream that rips through the air like a blade. It's not a sound of play. It's the raw, guttural sound of terror. A young woman, Ly, is huddled on the dusty village road, her thin frame trembling as she's dragged toward the perimeter of Jack's land. A man, her husband, is clutching her hair, his knuckles white with rage. Beside him, a woman, his mother, is spitting insults, each word a venomous strike. "You think you can just run away, you useless parasite?" she screams. "You belong to us. We bought you, we fed you, and we own your future." This is the hook. We have 2 open loops. Why is Ly so terrified that she won't even try to fight back? And what happens when Jack, the man who built his life on integrity and protecting his own, crosses paths with these monsters? Tu Tien is the first to reach the gate. She isn't a soldier, but she is a woman who knows what it is to be discarded. She sees Ly's face bruised, swollen, eyes wide with a soul-deep hopelessness, and she doesn't think, she bolts. "Stop it! Leave her alone!" The husband turns. He's a man built of spite and cruelty. He looks at Tu Tien with a sneer, his eyes narrowing. "Stay out of this, woman. This is a family matter. We are taking what is ours." He lunges, his hand swinging to shove Tu Tien aside. But before his hand can touch her, the air in the yard changes. A heavy, solid weight slams into his arm, locking it in place. It's Jack. He doesn't look like a CEO, and he doesn't look like a farmer. He looks like a man who has reached the limit of his patience for the cruelty of the world. "You are on my land," Jack says, his voice a low, terrifying rumble that seems to vibrate through the ground. "And you are laying your hands on a woman who is under my protection. You have 5 seconds to let go, or I promise you, you will regret ever stepping foot in this village." The mother-in-law screeches, her face twisting into a grotesque mask of fury. "Who do you think you are? You think you're better than us because you have a house? She's our property. We paid for her. We have the papers." The tension is explosive. Every second is a potential point of violence. Ly is sobbing, curled into a ball, whispering, "Please, don't let them take me. They'll kill me. They'll kill the baby." The baby reveal hits like a punch to the gut. The stakes instantly shift from a domestic dispute to a life and death struggle for a mother and her unborn child. Jack doesn't blink. He tightens his grip on the husband's wrist, forcing the man to his knees. The husband screams in pain, his arrogance fracturing. "I don't care about your papers," Jack growls. "I care about the law. You are committing assault on my property. My neighbors are already calling the police, and I will personally see to it that you are documented, charged, and thrown into a cell for as long as the law allows. Do you hear me?" The threat is calculated, cold, and entirely credible. Jack isn't acting out of anger. He is acting out of a rigid, immovable code of conduct. He looks at the mother-in-law, his expression deadpan. "You want to talk about ownership? You want to talk about property? Let's talk about what happens when a community stands up against garbage like you." From the shadows of the village, figures start to emerge. Neighbors, farmers, people Jack and Tu Tien have helped and protected. They aren't carrying weapons, but they are standing there, silent, watching. The weight of their presence is suffocating. The husband realizes, with a sudden, sinking dread, that he is completely outnumbered. The husband tries to twist his arm free, but Jack holds firm. "Go," Jack says, his voice dropping to a whisper that is more threatening than a shout. Leave this girl and leave this village. If I ever see your shadow on this road again, I won't be using words. I will be using the full extent of the law, and I will be the one holding the door of the cell shut." The husband looks at his mother, panic setting in. The mother, seeing the shifting crowd, realizes the power dynamic has irrevocably broken. She spits on the ground, a final act of spite, but she doesn't move forward. "Fine," she screams. "Keep the trash. You'll see what happens when the village realizes what you've invited in. She's cursed. You'll regret this." They scramble to their feet, backing away toward the road, their eyes darting around in fear. They retreat, their threats growing quieter as they lose the safety of their victim. The silence that returns to the yard is heavy, broken only by Ly's ragged breathing. Tu Tien kneels down, her hands shaking as she brushes the hair from Ly's face. The girl is barely holding on, her body racked by tremors. Jack walks over, his shoulders dropping from their rigid posture. He looks at Ly, his expression softening into a deep, hollow empathy. "You're safe now," he says. "We won't let them touch you again." They help Ly into the house. The interior, usually a place of quiet, feels different now. It feels like a sanctuary under siege. They lead her to the kitchen, the warmth of the hearth providing a stark contrast to the violence they just witnessed at the gate. Tu Tien finds a damp cloth and begins to gently clean the dirt and blood from Ly's face. "What did they mean?" Tu Tien asks, her voice soft, careful not to startle her. "About the trash? About being cursed?" Ly doesn't answer at first. She stares at the floor, her eyes hollow, her hands clutching her stomach as if she's trying to protect the child from the memory of the abuse. Finally, she looks up. "They didn't just want me back because I'm a worker," she whispers, her voice cracking. "They wanted me back because of what they discovered in the village. They found out that I have something that belongs to the village elders. They've been trying to force me to reveal the location for months." The reveal is chilling. It's not just abuse, it's a conspiracy. Ly isn't just a victim of domestic violence. She's the keeper of a secret that makes her a target for the most powerful and the most corrupt people in the region. "What secret?" Jack asks, his eyes narrowing. Ly shakes her head. "If I tell you, you'll be in danger too. They'll come for you. They'll burn this place to the ground, Jack. You have no idea what they're capable of." The stakes are suddenly astronomical. This isn't just about saving a girl from an abusive husband. It's about defending their own home against a network of people who view morality as a weakness. "They already came for us," Jack says, his voice firm, resolute, "and they left with their tails between their legs. We don't back down. That's the one thing you need to understand about this house." Tu Tien wraps her arms around Ly, her eyes meeting Jack's across the room. There's a silent, intense connection between them, a vow. They know exactly what they're inviting, and they know the price they might have to pay. But looking at Let, at the life growing inside her, there's no other choice. "We start with the bandages," Tu Tien says, her voice steady. "Then we figure out the rest, one step at a time." The night falls, the farmhouse becoming a quiet, lit-up island in the darkness of the mountains. But for the first time, it doesn't feel like a resting place. It feels like a bunker. They are prepared, watchful, and entirely united. Outside, the wind begins to pick up, the trees swaying violently in the storm that is clearly coming. The peace they had fought so hard to build is now the battlefield. And as the camera pans back, from the glowing kitchen window to the dark, expansive wilderness, we feel the true weight of their decision. The secret Ly holds is the catalyst for everything that comes next. It's the hidden treasure, the cursed map, the leverage that could either bring them to the heights of power or burn them to the ground. And Jack? He's not going to run. He's going to wait for them to come back. The final shot is of the gate, the very gate where the violence happened. It stands slightly open, a silent witness to the war that has just begun. This isn't just a drama. It's the beginning of a struggle for justice, for truth, and for the simple, fundamental right to be left in peace. And as we watch the farmhouse from a distance, we know that the calm of the farm was never the goal. The goal was to build a place where, when the world comes to break you, you have the strength to hold your ground. The episode leaves the audience on the edge, questioning everything. Who are these people that Ly is hiding from? What is the secret that is worth killing for? And how can Jack and Tu Tien possibly defend against a force that controls the very village they live in? The credits roll, but the tension doesn't dissipate. It remains, a low, pulsing hum in the background of the screen, a reminder that the struggle for their life, their home, and their humanity has only just entered its most volatile phase. The game has changed. The board has been set, and Jack, ever the strategist, is already calculating the next move. They are no longer just people. They are warriors. And they are fighting for the most precious thing of all, a chance to raise a new generation, safe, clean, and free from the shadows of the past. The storm continues to rage outside, the rain pounding against the roof. But inside, the light remains steady, warm, and defiant. They are ready for whatever comes next. They are ready to fight, and they are ready to win. The story isn't just about survival. It's about the assertion of worth in a world that tries to convince you you have none. They are the architects of their own protection, and they have made their stand. The farmhouse will not fall, the truth will not be buried, and the family will grow, no matter what the price. Camera pans over the farmhouse, the light glowing in the window, while the sounds of the storm and the distant, threatening howl of the wind set the stage for the next challenge. In your own life, have you ever been in a situation where you had to stand up for someone even when you knew it would put you in the line of fire? Did you choose the easy path? Or did you choose the right path, knowing the consequences would change everything? Share your story in the comments below. Let's talk about the courage of standing firm when everything tells you to run. Because in the end, it's those moments, the ones where we choose to protect, that define who we really are. What's your story? Let's talk.